So good evening, everyone. Again, welcome. Thank you for joining. So we can start with the prayers before the teachings.
Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, to the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the ways of aging, sickness, and death. The Heart Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagawan was dwelling in massive Vulture's Mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom and beheld those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomena. There is no I element, and so on, up to and including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata Om Gate Gate Pada Gate Pada Samgate Bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagawan rose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of a lineage. It is like that. It is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagawan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharivati Putra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding in their entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandhars, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagawan. Sajipuki Jushing Meto Tramri Rablingji Ni Degen Padi Sangye Jingdu Mi Te Wai Drokun Nam Da Jingla Cho Parsho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryataya Me.
So, welcome everyone again. Try to generate a bodhisattva motivation, short bodhisattva motivations. The purpose of my life is to benefit and help sentient beings. And there's nothing greater benefit than to be able to help them to reduce and overcome their all negative, disturbing, afflictive emotions and all the obscurations, mental obscurations. Which are the root of all the problem, suffering. And to be able to help them to achieve not only temporary happiness, but lasting true ultimate happiness. And to be able to help them to do that, I myself need to achieve fully awakened state, which is the most perfect and complete state, free from all the obscurations, and actualize all the positive qualities. In order to achieve that fully awakened state, I must engage in bodhisattva path and practice the bodhisattvas. Practice is on the path. And for that, I need to continue to study, learn, the reminder of those practices all the time. Therefore, I'm going to listen. Not only listen, but trying to implement as much as possible from what we learn in our everyday life. Okay, refuge in Bodhisattva prayer. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by the merit I create through listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chedan sogi chonam la chanju batu dani kyapsu che dagi chenyen gi beso nam gi dola penje sangye duba sho sangye chedan chogi chonam la chanju batu dani kyapsu che dāgī chöshē gī bē sōnam gī dōlā pēnjē sāngē drupara shō. So last week we went through the very beginning of the sutras where the Subhūti asked Buddha, how should the bodhisattvas, practice, in the path, and how to enter the bodhisattva path, and having entered the bodhisattva path, how to abide and practice, and with three cautions, and then Buddha giving that answers, how the bodhisattva should enter the bodhisattva path by saying, the bodhisattva should enter the path by cultivating this bodhicitta mind, the wish to achieve fully awakened state in order to liberate each and every sentient being to that fully enlightened state. And, of course, in training at the very beginning, we train to have that thoughts or that kind of mind through meditation with effort. And as we get better and better through the practice, then one will be able to feel that way, the wish to achieve fully awakened state in order to liberate all sentient beings effortlessly. And that is when one enters the bodhisattva path, become bodhisattvas. So again, in that Buddha explained, while bodhisattvas should train while they try to develop that bodhicitta mind to liberate all sentient beings from the samsara and cause of samsara and lead them to fully enlightenment, at the same time, they should train to see the sentient beings who are suffering are empty of inherent existence. You yourself, who has strong wish to achieve that fully enlightened state, also that you yourself is empty of inherent existence. And the state that you want to achieve, the bodhisattvas, the enlightenment itself is empty of inherent existence. So by seeing they are empty of inherent existence, so one should train in that way. If one have clinging and grasping to the self, to the enlightenment, to the sentient beings that you want to liberate, then again, there's grasping. If you have a grasping, clinging to that, and then, you will not have a, progress to the Arya Bodhisattvas and achieve the fully enlightenment. and so that is, and then, having entered in bodhisattva path, then one should train in the practice of bodhisattvas, such as six perfection, or 10 perfection, such as the generosity, moral discipline, patience, and so forth. While one train in the practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, and so forth, at the same time, again, you try to train by seeing yourself who is practicing generosity, to whom you are practicing generosity, the receiver. The act of generosity, giving itself, and the object, whatever you are giving itself, they're all, again, being empty of inherent existence. So again, by training, by see they are empty of inherent existence, then again, you don't get any kind of clinging to yourself, clinging to the practice, clinging to the objects, clinging and grasping to the other person, the result of such practice. By engaging in such practice, then your practice of generosity become much more powerful, much more effective. Then your practice of generosity, not only it reduce your sense of, miserliness, feelings or attitude, but it also reduce the self-grasping ignorance, Mm. And through then it also, having trained in those bodhisattva practice, such as 10 perfections, then one try to achieve the fully awakened state in order to benefit all sentient beings. Even that fully awakened state, the 2 kayas, 4 kayas, 3 kayas, even that result, the kayas, the enlightenment itself, you should train to see them as also being inherently existent. You shouldn't even have, clinging, grasping to even the result. Once you train to see, not only the self who is engaging in practice, not only the practice itself, but the result of such practice as being empty of inherent existence. So then we learn to let go of any clinging, grasping to anything. There's no clinging, grasping to the self. There's no clinging, grasping to the path. And there's no clinging, grasping to the result itself. And when you are able to do that, when you practice without any clinging, grasping, as we mentioned, there's less disappointment. There's less disappointment. There's less expectations, conditions and when there's less expectation, there's less disappointments. Also, it acts as an antidote towards both selfish attitude and self-grasping ignorance. Through the practice of conventional bodhicitta mind, the generosity, moral discipline, bodhisattva moral discipline, patience, and so forth, it helps to reduce the selfish attitudes. And by understanding all of them as emptiness, then it helps to reduce self-grasping. And therefore, when you take those 2 practices together, the wisdom and the method, then we can reduce the very root of 2 main roots of all the problem, that is the selfish attitude and self-grasping, and slowly, completely destroy them, So I think that is where we kind of talk up to, and of course, it's a long sutra, and so So in this sutra, okay. So to go through a little bit what it means, empty of inherent existence, because that is the main topic of this sutra, the emptiness, the ultimate nature of self and all phenomena, including, the self, the path, the result. Even though to our, polluted mind, due to the ignorance, imprint of ignorance, even though everything's appear to our mind, the self, your body, your mind, your experience, feelings, everything's, as well as everything that we see with our eyes, everything we hear, everything we smell, everything we taste, everything we touch, everything that comes in our thoughts, object of our, everything appear in our mind to exist from their own side, really there from the objective side, there. There's real me from its own side, objectively. There's really you who are looking at me, who are existing from your own side, objectively. The sound that I'm hearing or you are hearing is simply, there is really sound from its own side, objectively. The smell we smell, whatever good smell, bad smell, smell of, good smells, smell of pizza, burger, French fry, maybe French fry. Or the smell of kaka. You have two different smell, but there is a sense of there is that smell from its own side objectively there. The bad smell, good smell from objectively there, from its real from their side. Same thing. Whatever sound we hear, good, bad, whatever objects, whether we appear something nice objects, bad objects, again, not only there is appearance or there is bad object from its own side, objectively. There is a good object from its own side, objectively. And so all that, there is that appearance. Even though there is that appearance, but when we don't analyze, there is that appearance. But if we analyze more deeply, is that appearance, the way it appeared to us, is it real there as it appeared to our mind? Is there real there objectively from its own side? If you try to analyze, investigate with that ultimate analysis, then you cannot find. You cannot find. You cannot pinpoint. If you try to find where is me, where is I that I feel so strong, so real, so solid, where I feel so solid, so real, where is that I? If you try to find that I, as Nagarjuna says, within your aggregates or outside of aggregates, my body is not me. My feeling is not me. Is my feeling is not me. My body is not me. These are two different things. My discriminant mind is not me. My compulsion of mind is not me. My consciousness is not me, it's my mind, my consciousness is not me. So if you try to find each of within that aggregate, none of them, neither just the continuity of aggregates, nor the collection of the aggregates is the me. Nor I can be found outside of aggregates. Nor I can be found outside of aggregates. If I take away all my aggregate body, my feeling, discriminating mind, compositional factor, consciousness, and then you take all that and then to point and say, this is me, I, you cannot. So therefore, when you do that analysis, if it is something truly existing, real, when you analyze more deeply, you should be able to find it. Truth is something the truth. If you go deep in analysis, it should be able to find it. But when you go in deep analysis, when you cannot find it, it means it's a false, it's not the truth. False is when you don't go deep analysis, when you are just on surface level, it feels so real and true. But if you go more deeper, then it cannot withstand the analysis. Same way when you do that, then it becomes clear, that there is no inherently existing self. There's no truly existing or real self that the way it appears to us. Therefore, the self is empty of inherent existence, truly existing as a real, as it appears to our mind, is totally empty of that. So therefore, that appearance is totally deceptive. That appearance totally deceptive. False, the appearance of the self to exist inherently, truly, or real self. So as one of the classical example that you find is, rope to be mistaken for a snake. There's a certain rope, big rope, and the way is put a curve, and then it is a little bit dark and you are a little distant, and especially in the area where you see more snakes, then you see that, oh, there is snake. There's appearance of the snake from the distant in that conditions. And not only there is appearance, you believe there is a snake. Based on belief that there's a real snake there, then fear arises. Where did the fear arises? If the fear arises on the belief there's a real snake. If you didn't believe there is a real snake, you wouldn't have that fear arising. And that fear was unnecessary because there's no real snake to be fearful of, but we become fearful and you experience those fear, go through that fear because of that, believing in that deceptive appearance. Same thing on basis of believing that there's truly, inherently real self. Therefore, then there's fear something might happen to that self. Things can go wrong for that self. Fear, worry, anxiety happens. Anger, attachment arises. Oh, that person was very, harmful, hurtful, harsh on this self, when there is no such self, inherent existing self, on the basis of believing there's inherent existing self, and then believing that person is very harsh on that self, on the basis of that, then we have that kind of anger, hatred, and so forth. Or then they believe, oh, this self, this true inherent self, real self, that need that objects. And then attachment to that objects. On the basis that it's just like you see that snake, even though it's a rope, believing it's a snake. So then you started to feel fearful or angry. How come it come in my house? Angry, upset, and then you start thinking of taking something to, scare it away, all of that, because of belief that there is that. And so, all of them, but once you realize, oh, it is just a snake, and it's just a rope, it's not really snake, all the fear is gone. The fear arises on the basis that it's the real snake. It's gone. No more there. Whatever, if you have any kind of anger towards that, maybe let's say, one day this snake or something came and eating your, birds or something. And today you say, this must be the one, This snake must be the one which killed my pet as today. So there is anger arising. Once you realize it's not real snake, it is just a rope, there's no more anger towards that object. No more anger. The anger just go away. Once you realize is that appearance is a fake, deceptive, that's not how the thing exists, then there is, all the delusions, come to cessations, So another example, that is very classical example you have heard many times, Another example I give, okay? Of course, there are many examples, In Sera, in South India, when we were studying, there's monastery, and between then there's Tibetan refugee camps, settlements, different camps around there, many camps. And third camp, and then between the third camp and monastery is empty farm. And then there is one bridge, small bridge, and there is stories about, people seeing ghosts around that area. There's stories how people have seen ghosts around that area. Different people have encountered and seen ghosts at that area. So there is that kind of stories that is kind of shared and people know about it. So one time, one monk went to the town, in a bicycle. In the old time, there is no, tuk-tuk car, so they have bicycle, and it's a dark, he can by the time he dark, and then, you come from that area, you come a little bit downward, there's a bridge, and then when he saw, then in the middle of that, he saw a kind of very big eyes, and then he started to be scared. The ghost, here's the ghost, and he didn't know what to do, he cannot go back to the town, he had to come to the monastery, and he didn't know how to do, and so he prayed, he did his prayers, whatever he did, and he just closed his eyes and he said, If it's the ghost, it's not physical, so you can just go through it, ghost doesn't have a solid body like us, we can block it, And so he just closed his mind and he just, cycled very fast. And then he hit something. And then, whoa, it sound, cows. It was a cow. It is a cow sitting in the middle of the road. And so from distance, maybe some light, the eyes, sometimes when you have a little bit light, but not enough light, sometimes your eyes become very shiny and that is how, I think, what he saw. And due to the many conditions, the story about ghost being here, and then, not clear, and due to many other conditions, there was some appearance, and he believed that to be a ghost when it is not a ghost, So if he recognized it was a cow, he didn't have to go through all the fears and all of that. He wouldn't have to hurt the cows by driving direct to that. And probably he fall down. I'm not sure that part. So all of that. Why? Because believing in that appearance to be real when it is not real. These are some examples, but that is what is happening in our life, everyday experiences. Everyday experiences is that. Of course, these are a little bit more gross example, whether it is the rope example or this example, but on subtle level, that is what is happening in our everyday life. Why we are so fearful ourselves of dying, of getting sick, being on the street, being no one's, the fear of, so many fear about us, not having enough, all of that on the basis of belief there is true inherent real I, and appearance and a belief. Once you are able to understand those appearance is not real, there's no truly existing I, there's no real I, there's no inherent I, then you don't believe that appearance. Even the appearance is still there, but you don't believe that. And if you don't believe that, then you don't have to go through all this fear, worry, anxiety, all these different things. Then, you become more fearless. At the moment, we are so fearful because of that. Because of that. Because of that strong grasping to the self, and because of strong grasping and belief that there is someone or some situation or there is some experience that is really bad, negative, on belief on that. So there is then, fearful of that, aversion to that, anger towards those objects. And then also some objects we believe there's something real, truly, and from its own side, truly real, good, positive, beneficial, meaningful. And we believe that, and then because of that, then we get a strong attachment to that. I need that object. I must have that object. I want that object. And then that is where the attachments, greediness, all this comes, jealousy, all those different feelings arises, and the fear of losing them, the fear of not getting them, the fear of not getting them. And if you already have the fear of losing them, All that comes on the basis of that. So, but if you really analyze, so again, so that is what, the self. So if there is no truly existing self or real self or inherently existing self, is there no self at all? Is there no self at all? Then, there is a self. But there is a self not the way it appears to our mind. There's self the way very different than the way it appears to our mind. There is self that is merely imputed, nothing solid, nothing real. But there is a self that is merely imputed on the basis of the aggregates. And that self, functions, that self, that experience, sometimes pain, sometimes happiness, that self, hurts people or other beings sometimes, help others sometimes. There is a self, it gets cold, feeling cold when it's too, the temperature drops, feeling hot when the temperature go up, and so forth. There's a self that experience all of it. But that self is not real self, truly existing self in him, but it's merely imputed self on the basis of aggregates. Therefore, the self is empty of inherent existence or ultimately existence, but there is a self. So just like when you look to the rope, there's no snake at all, whether in the part of the rope, collection of the rope, continue, there's nothing you can find snake within that, in any part or collections of the rope. But there is a rope. There is a rope, and the rope has certain functionings. It has certain functionings. In the same way, there is no real or truly or inherently existing self that can be found within the aggregates, within the collection of aggregate, outside of aggregate, continuity of aggregate. There is no self, but there is a merely imputed self that has that experience different experiences and that functions, its own functionings. So, and therefore, that self that is existing merely through merely imputations, merely designated, is the self that creates the karma and that experience the result of such karma. But there is no truly existing, inherently existing, really existing self. Mm. Is similar to the snake, real snake, and the snake in your mind, in your mind. The image of the snake in your mind. You cannot say there is no image of the snake in your mind. There is an image of the mind, and it has certain function, but it's not real snake. The image of the snake in your mind is no real snake, but still that image of snakes has functionings. It can affect, it can have different functionings, depending on what different image and that, Once you recognize the image of your snake in your mind is no real snake, but it's just an image, then you don't have strong fear of snake. Even if you have fear of snake, once you know it's just an image. You don't get fearful, anger, whatever, all those different emotions. So I think that, in that way, is no real ghost what the monk saw, but it doesn't mean there's nothing. Do you get it? What he saw was ghost. It was not a ghost, but there was something that knocked him down, and that he heard that unintentionally. So there is the effect of that in both ways, So therefore, when we talk about that not really being the self, or there's no really existing self, it doesn't mean there's nothingness. Do you get it? Just as there's nothing ghost there, but there is something that effect, And similarly, the merely imputed self also experience different experiences and can create different actions and experience result of those different actions. And also it can affect different beings differently. So that is where we have to always, differentiate those two things. That there is no real self, truly existing, intelligent self, but there is a self that's merely imputed. And that can function. Through that, then we understand the true truth. The self being empty of inherent existence is ultimate truth. The self that exists on merely imputation or merely label is conventional truth. And those two truths go in hand, complement each other. Because there's ultimate truth, therefore there's conventional truth. Because there's conventional truth, there's ultimate truth. If one of them is not there, the other cannot function, other cannot exist. Because it's empty of inherent existence, therefore there is something that is merely imputed and that can function. Because it's merely imputed, therefore it's empty of inherent existence on its own side. So there's ultimate existence or ultimate reality, the empty of inherent existence, because there's conventional reality, because it's merely imputed. There is merely imputed objects. So yeah. And as Nagarjuna explains, as well as Lama Tsongkhapa, the most amazing of Buddha's teaching is that while everything is empty of inherent existence, at the same time, the law of cause and effect exists and it functions. While everything is empty of truly existing, inherent existing, really existing, while everything is empty of that, at the same time, there is a law of cause and effect and functioning of that. Therefore, due to certain cause and condition coming together, certain experience can be experienced, good or bad. And when those cause and condition are changed, those experience can be changed, the result can be changed. While there's law of cause and effect, and all so many different experiences, good, bad, neutral, and different kind of bad, different kind of good, different kind of neutral. All of that, while all of that on merely imputed, on a merely designation level, but at the same time, they all are empty of inherent existence. At the same time, they all are empty of inherent. And that is the most amazing. It seems like two contradiction, but doesn't contradict. Do you get it? What they call sometimes paradox. It seems like paradox. It seems like there are contradictions, but they don't contradict, but actually they support each other. And that is what Nagarjuna Lama told, that is the most amazing of the Buddha's teachings. Is most amazing, most excellent, most, incredible, And because you see empty, therefore you don't have any grasping to it, Because you see empty, because, normally we cannot see empty. Normally we see there is a object from its own side, real object, truly existing objects. And on the basis of that belief, there's first appearance and then belief that there is real object, truly existing objects from its own side, on the belief of that, then the mind that grabs on that, the mind which grabs on that. But when you realize there's no such objects, there's no object to be grasping to. There's no object to cling on. There's no object to grasp on. When there's no object to cling and grasp, there's no grasping and clinging. Then when you let go of that kind of clinging and grasping, then there's no attachment, no anger, all arises due to that clinging and grasping. So through by seeing the emptiness, the ultimate nature of the object, you don't have clinging and grasping to the objects, because you see there's no object to cling and grasp, cling or grasp on. While there is no, by seeing the emptiness of that, while there is no clinging and grasping, at the same time, you see there is an object that is merely imputed, merely designated. And because you see there's merely designated objects, merely imputed objects that can have functionings and it can produce different result effect. And so therefore you are careful, responsible of your actions. You become responsible for your actions. You don't become kind of nihilism and then there's nothing, therefore my actions have no consequences. Do you get it? Because you see still there is a merely existing objects, whether it's the self, whether it's the actions, whether it's the other person who is being affected, all of them merely existing. Therefore, you become more careful, more cautious, more understanding, more mindful, more taking the responsibility with your actions. And that is the beauty of the true truth and understanding and realizing of the true truth. So in relation to that, then, at the end of the sutras, where it kind of contains the teachings of this, where it's as a star, a visual apprehension, a lamp, an illusion, a dew, a bubble, a dream, lightning, and a cloud, view all compounded objects like that, So again, at the end, that is the, it's like a star, it's like a star. It says, star are there even in the daytime, but we cannot see it because of the sunlight, because of that brightness. You cannot see it, But they are there, even during the daytime. You can't just see it, in the night, then you see them, In the same way, to those, just like the night, to those sentient beings who have the darkness of ignorance, to them, the object appear in hidden existence, truly existence. It appeared that, it appeared there. It appeared to whom? Not everyone, to those who have not have direct realization of emptiness, those who have darkness of ignorance. But for those who have realized emptiness directly, and who have that sun, strong light, or sun of the wisdom, realizing emptiness directly, to those such mind, there is no appearance of the objects as truly existence. Just like in the daytime, because of the light, there's no appearance of that. In the same way, to those Arya beings who have direct realization, Arya Bodhisattva and other Arya beings who have direct realization in emptiness, due to that, the wisdom light of realizing emptiness directly, in that the mind that realizes emptiness directly, there is no appearance of that object as truly existing. Therefore, it's like a star. It's like a star. If if the objects exist truly or inherently existence, as it appears to us, then those Arya beings, the Bodhisattva, to their mind, they should appear and they should perceive that way, because they are the one who realize the ultimate truth. The Buddha doesn't perceive that way. It doesn't appear to their mind that they don't perceive that as, and therefore that appearance is deceptive, false. It only appears to those who are blinded by the ignorance and who doesn't have direct realizations of the emptiness. That appearance only to them, And so therefore, again, we can say is not truly existing. If it's truly existing, that appearance, then it should appear to the Buddha's mind, it should appear to the Arya being's mind, and they should be able to perceive as it is, but it's not the case. So again, it's empty of inherent existence, So all conditioned phenomena, all phenomena are like a star. Similar, visual abbreviations, to those who have some condition to their eyes, because of certain condition their eyes, they might see like a hair falling, even though your hair is not falling to your eyes. It might seem because there's some condition that you cannot see and you see differently, like as though your hair is falling down, even though when it's not falling down, and it's due to that conditions, some problem with your eyes conditions, In the same way, inherently existing or truly existence appear to those who have a condition of ignorance, just like that condition that only those who have ignorant conditions. But it doesn't have that, just as those who doesn't have that condition, who have good eyes and who doesn't have that condition, they don't have appearance of their hair falling down in their eyes. They don't see that their hair falling down. In the same way, those who doesn't have conditioned ignorance, those, Arya beings who have direct realizations to their mental mind, wisdom mind, there's no appearance of such inherently existing, truly existing appearance. So therefore, it's like visual aberrations, like a lamp, like a butter lamp. When you make butter lamp, due to many causes and conditions, you need a container, then you need whatever is the butter or the oil, wax, whatever you put, and then you need to put the wick inside, with all these cause and condition comes, and then you light down, and then there's the lamp, there's the light, due to many cause and conditions coming together. And then with all these conditions, you light the lamp, and then again the lamp can die very quickly. It can be blown up by the wind very quickly, in a minute, in a second, milliseconds, it can be blown away, it can not last, or even it lasts a little bit, it run out of all this, the oil, the whatever, the wax, the butter or the wick, and then it dies. Similarly, all conditioned phenomena are like that. Due to many causes and conditions, things come into existence. And then they get decay, or they disintegrate, or they end very quickly. If something's inherently existence, it will always remain. If something is inherently existence, it doesn't depend on others' cause and conditions. Something inherently existing means that is inherent nature. That has always been that nature. It will always be that nature. That's what inherent means. Inherent means this is how is nature always, and it will always be. It doesn't change regardless of other cause come and not come. So just that lamp, everything's, when cause and condition comes, then things comes into existence, things happens. That shows it's not inherent existence. Depending on other factors, cause and conditions. Something that depends on other factors, cause and condition cannot be inherent existence. Secondly, if it is inherently existing, that will always remain same all the time. Just like the lamp cannot remain all the time. All other, compositional factors or objects, conditioned objects, they don't last all the time. They come in existence and they decay, they come to end. That also shows coming to the end, disintegrating, decaying, running out, shows it is not inherent existence. And then other examples similar, and illusions. Magicians, through his or her trick, they create some illusions, but it's just a trick, it's not real, But to our eyes, who doesn't know the trick, it appears so real, so real. And when you believe it is so real, then again, different emotions arise in relation to how that appear to your mind. But once you realize it is just like an illusion, there is that appearance, but you know that it's just a trick, it is not really happening. Then you don't get deceived by the appearance. You don't get deceived by the illusions. And same thing when you understand, while Even though everything appears so real, so truly existing, so inherent, so true and so real, but we realize they are empty of truly existing, inherently existing, real existence. That appearance is just a deceptive, like illusions. And therefore you don't believe on that appearance. If you don't believe in appearance, then you don't get deceived by those appearances. You don't get deceived by the appearance. At the moment, we get deceived by the appearance, not realizing that is like illusions. It is just that appearance that's deceptive. The real nature is not the way how it appears. Not realizing that, and that lead us to be deceived by the appearance. But once you understand they are like illusion, then you don't get deceived by that. A do, and then a do is again another example of very unstable, very fragile, very unstable, very fragile, Morning before the sun arises, the dew seems very quite, strong in that, and then the moment the sun arises, it's gone. It's so fragile, it's so, again, due to certain cause and conditions, it come in existing, due to some moisture, due to some temperature, and due to all different conditions, then the dew come into existence, due to many cause and conditions, again, come into existence, and again, it's very fragile, it comes and goes very quickly, By the sun comes, it's gone, And same is all conditioned phenomena. The nature of all conditioned phenomena are like that, unstable. All come due to many causes and conditions, but then again, all of them very unstable, very fragile. All of them come into the end. Disintegrate, decay, come to the end. Not only it decay, disintegrate, it can be gone very quickly, just like a dew. Again, that it shows that it's not inherent existence. Same like that. And so therefore, so it shows impermanent as well as non-inherent existence, impermanent nature as well as non-inherent existence. It is non-inherent existence because it's impermanent. If it's something inherently existing, it will be permanent. It will always remain that way. There's no coming and going. There's no coming and disintegrating. It will always be that. But since it's not like that, it's impermanent due to certain cause and conditions come, and then due to certain cause, then it decays, so that it shows it's impermanent, unreliable, unstable. And because it's impermanent, therefore it can't be inherently existing as well. And same with the bubble, again, due to the cause, such as a waterfall or water dripping, due to certain cause conditions, again the water bubble comes. Again, it's very fragile. Maybe water bubble is even more fragile than the dew. It comes and it's gone. It comes and it's gone. So fragile, so unstable. And so again, impermanent nature. Not only it is impermanent nature, but again, because it's impermanent, it's also non-inherently existing. A dream, similar like the illusions, Due to certain cause conditions, we have dream, good or bad dream, Sometimes we have good dreams, sometimes we have bad dreams, sometimes we have more neutral dreams due to different cause and conditions. But dream is a dream. Dream is not real. When you don't realize dream as a dream, and when you believe the dream as a real, then you can have all different fear, worry, anger, all these things. But once you realize it's a dream, then you can let go of all these feelings. While in a dream, your heart is pumping because you are so scared. Someone is trying to, in a nightmare, someone is trying to drown you, or someone trying to choke you, and you are trying to fight against it, and you don't realize it's a dream. So in the dream, you don't realize it's a dream. You think it's really happening, and you are sweating, you are pumping, and once you wake up and you say, "Oh, it's a dream," then all feelings start to subside. Whatever's the fear, the worry, that someone is choking you, someone is drowning you, the fear, and this all physically and mentally pumping, your heart beating, all will subside and slowly come down. Why? Because you realize it is a dream. At the very beginning, you didn't realize. In the dream, you are dreaming. That is why. In dream, you are realizing it is a dreaming. You are in dream, you wouldn't go through that. In same way, even though, again, everything that we experience appears so true and so real, and we believe it's so true and real the way it appears. And that is the way we go through all these different emotions, negative emotions, up and down, different feelings, different emotions, different, pain and sufferings. But once you realize, that appearance of truly existing, inherently existing, or real, they are empty. That appearance is just a deception, false, just like a dream. Once you understand that, then again, we don't get caught, our mind doesn't get caught up in all this drama and all this fear and worry and all this bitter anger, all those different feelings. They will subside, all those feelings subside, become less and less. So dream, lightning, again, this is another examples of all these conditioned phenomena are so fragile. It's a lightning. A second, lightning doesn't last even a second. You realize how fast they are. I was trying to check. It was like one time, there was so much lightning happening, almost every few seconds or minutes. And I was trying to catch a camera, and I couldn't catch up. It's so fast. Even you are clicking all the time. Even before it starts, you are starting to click, but still it's so hard to catch them. So I realized that is how fast and quick they are. Such a moment, And all these conditions, phenomena are in the nature like that. It feels like so solid, but the nature like lightning, it can be just like that. Less than second, less than millisecond. It can be anything. Any condition phenomena can be seized, can be gone within the, in Tibet, in Buddhism, within the one snap, there is 60, if you divide that, there's 60 kind of what you call moments, and, in that. But I heard in the science, there are even more than even that 60s, So basically, that is how the impermanent nature, how it is in that moment, changing it moment that it can be gone. This is lightning. And realizing again how our life experience, everything is just like a lightning. Sometimes we don't realize it's like lightning, and therefore we cling and grab very tightly. Once you realize it's a lightning, you feel like there's nothing to hold on. There's no time to hold on. There's nothing to hold on. And so they, like a lightning, again, because of the cause and condition, there's lightning, and then again, it it disappears very quickly in the same way. Therefore, again, it is empty of inherent nature. In a cloud, see, same thing. The cloud is, due to many causes and conditions, it comes into existence, again, certain temperature, certain moisture, many cause and condition brings the cloud together, and then not only cloud, then there's much other conditions, moisture, different things that need to, and due to that, then again, there's a rain, through the cloud there's a rain, and then rain gives rise to many plants, life, but due to many causes and conditions, same thing, all condition phenomena like that, and again, the cloud comes and again they disappear, they don't last, they don't remain all the time, comes and goes. And same thing, all the condition phenomena comes and goes. And since they comes and goes, there's no point of holding so tightly because you cannot hold anyway. The nature of that, it comes and go. You're trying to hold is something that you cannot really hold. You try to hold it, but it is useless because the nature of that things, object that you are trying to hold so tightly, it is not going to be there all the time. So through such understanding of impermanent, again, learning to let go, whether it is bitterness, whether it is anger, whether it is attachments, whatever different negative feeling we have, either towards us, towards others, we learn to let it go by understanding that. By understanding is impermanent. By understanding is like lightning. By understanding is very, unstable. By understanding they are empty of inherent existence, truly existence, real existence. Thing does not exist the way it appears to our mind, and through that, then we let go of having all those negative emotions. Also letting go of fear, worry, anxiety. Once you realize that, no more fear, worry, anxiety. You become more fearless. Mm. So this is the kind of the summary of all the teachings at the end. Summarize with this example. Even though at the best. And again, if you go to the sutra, of course, I could try to go through different points, but then I think we don't need to go that. And so that is the summary. And if you read, sometimes it feels like it's repeating so many times again, but you have to understand. It's talking about how to progress from one path to next path. At the very beginning, it's talking about the path of accumulation. Then again, similar, next path of liberation. And then again, you see similar when you talk about patience, that you should have patience, but not to grasp on the patience. It's talk about the path of seeings, and then path of meditation. So it is because while we progress in each of path, but generally the meditation is similar. Still, we are meditating on emptiness during the meditative equipoise, and post-meditative equipoise, you create merit through engaging in other practice of perfections and other that. But then during the meditation session, one meditate on emptiness. So the meditation is more or less same. It just when you keep on meditating again, and it becomes more deeper and deeper and more profound, and less dualistic, And so therefore, it seems like it's repeating all the time, but each of them is explaining how the next practice or different path, so that if you understand that, similarly in the Heart Sutra is like that. Also, Heart Sutra, it seems like it is repeating all the time, but because the reason is it shows how we progress from the first path to the second path and the practice of that, and second path to the third path, and what is the practice of that. And so, and as I mentioned last time when you talk about progress from path to path, bhumi to bhumi, when you progress from meditative equipoise to meditative equipoise, from one to another. And that is when you progress from one meditative equipoise to another, is meditating on emptiness. And so therefore, again, so that just give you a little bit why it seems like it's why you sometimes why is repeating all the time again and again. Sometimes you use very small changes in repetitions, you know, small changes, sometimes almost no changes, but again, that is explaining the progress from one path to another path. Okay. So any questions? I can take one or two if there is any questions. Either those who are on Zoom in persons, they're most welcome.
Geshe
Mm-hmm.
Geshe, when we go, everything's empty, inherently existent, on everything, on I, on enlightenment, on sentient beings, are you meant to also put, like, whatever you're doing, the verb, as empty as well? Like, I'm riding a, I'm riding a bike to enlightenment, and with that writing, are you meant to say that that's empty of existing, empty of inherently existent as well? Because you're
Yes.
already doing, you are, okay.
Your action, the action itself is empty
Yeah.
of inherent existence.
Okay, and that goes with everything. How you're feeling, how you're everything,
Yeah, everything's. Yeah.
and what you're thinking. Okay.
You yourself, your feelings,
Okay.
your state of mind, your act,
Mhm.
whether you are driving, whether you are, biking, walking, or the practice of giving itself, the practice of engaging moral discipline itself, the practice of patience itself, the action itself is also empty of inherent existence, as well as the result, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
So so sometimes that is why you see in many of the texts the emptiness of three spheres. That is what it means. The action,
Oh,
the subject, the objects, all of them being empty of inherent existence. Seeing all three.
okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And then we'll take the next question from Susan.
Thank you, Geshe. I'm a little over my head here, so I'm not even sure how to ask the question, but I'll try. So when you said inherent existence means it'll always be like this, and there's no inherent existence in all the aggregate aspects that create a me. So my question is, when we do die, is there a belief in an inherent existence? Because I know there's the belief in reincarnation. So would that be considered that part of us is the inherent existence part that keeps going? Or how do we
No,
how do we understand that?
there is no inherent existence self that continue, because there is no inherent existence self at all. So there is a continuity of the self that's merely imputed. So the continuity of the consciousness, and that
Still empty of the inherent
yeah,
existence.
and that is still that continuity of the consciousness that continue and carry the karmic seed and from one life to another life is the continuity of the consciousness, but still that it changing all the time is if it's something inherent, it will not change. It will always, but that consciousness, continuity of consciousness, constantly changing all the time. Life after life, not only life after life, within the life is changing my present continuity of consciousness, and the next moment the consciousness is constantly changing, and so therefore there is not infinite existence. Also, if you try to find that consciousness within the consciousness made out of many parts, and if you try to find within the each of the part, nor you can find within the part, outside of the part. And so therefore, again, it's empty of the analysis same the way we do to the self in that way, consciousness. So therefore, there is no infinite self that continue. Yeah. There is no infinite existence self continue. There is no permanent self that continue. No, the self is impermanent, as well as the consciousness.
So the rope and the snake are impermanent.
Yes, both of them. Yeah, yes. And we can do dedication if there is. Yeah, I can visualize something.
I don't think I can. Yeah, I don't know. I can't verbalize it. I'm sorry. I'm too tired.
Okay.
Geshe-la, on behalf of the center, we would like to offer a Thanksgiving mandala, and Venerable Zendrup, our amazing SPC, will offer on our behalf.
Yes.
Sajipuki Ju Shin Mejo Tramrila Linji Ni Degen Body Sange Jindu Mite Wai Drokunam Dagjingla Chopaisho. May my Venerable Lama's life be firm, his white divine action spread in the 10 directions. May the torch of the teachings of Losong always remain, dispelling the darkness of all beings in the 3 realms. Idam Guru Lana Mandalakam Niryatayami. Gewadi Nududav Lama Sange Dudyurne Jowa Chiyam Male De Sa Sho John Sho San Cho Rinpoche Ma ke pa nam ke gyur jik, ke wa nam pa me pa yang, gong ye gong du pe wa shu. Gang ri ra wei kor wei jin kam dir, pen dan de wa ma lu zhong wei ne, chen wei xing wa ten xin gat so yi, ja pe si te bar du ten gyur chi. Peerless teacher, an assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Predika Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands. Please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable, Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels, and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples.
Thank you very much, everyone who have participated. And
Thank you so much.
again, yeah, I know everyone is very busy and have a lot of things doing their life, but I think for a lot of effort to drive or to be on the Zoom and giving your precious time to come to listen to the Dharma, regardless of my presentations, my ability to present, not present, that is still Buddha's message. And hearing whoever talks about it, even just hearing, even you recite it, we create a imprint, in our mind to get it more familiar with that in the futures, to be able to, even if we don't understand fully, at least with that imprint in the future, it makes us easy to understand and to understand fully, not only understand fully, to have realizations, So sometimes we don't realize in that moment the importance of the imprint and how helpful it is. But only later you might be able to be aware of that. There are a lot of things that when we were young in the monastery, we used to hear the disciplinary or our teachers saying many things, and we used to think, why they're repeating all this all the time, They have said that before many times, but they keep on repeating, and sometimes you don't want to hear about that, you feel you are, too much, you feel like your time is precious, and while you are stopping that, you have already mentioned so many times, every disciplinary and every time and all that. But then you realize as you grow up, how beneficial and helpful they were ingrained in your mind.
Right.
If you hear one time, two times, you forget. Even though in that moment you feel that you will never forget that. But after some time you forget. You forget even you have studied or not sometime. Even you have studied very well and you understood very well that time. But because some of those things, they advise some of them, because we had, even we didn't want to hear, we have been hearing so time, but they are so ingrained that even you want to forget, you cannot forget, and I think that is the beauty of the Dharma, is to really keep on listening and the imprint, and not only play in this life, also in the futures as well, so So, okay, thank you very much, everyone.